Hey, 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 ladies. It's
Woo!
the
What
Hoops
up?
Talk.
We're
Hey,
back.
man, I'm choking. Sorry. What a way to start.
The LA smog's coming back
Oh,
with
Oh,
wow.
everyone
my
out and about.
God. We are back. We took a week off. It feels like longer than a week, but I guess it was just a week. I don't know. It was very
Time
much needed.
time doesn't make sense anymore.
It
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
make
true.
sense. That's so true. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, well, we are back and we're super excited because I am sweating from all the WNBA coverage that we've been reading and retweeting and just ingesting. So there's a lot we'll be talking about then.
It's been a hot week.
It has been a hot week. And it's just, it's like this is basically our Olympics, our sports Olympics. It just starts now.
That's
It just keeps
true.
going. I mean, we're not used to this concentrated effort that's gonna happen, right? We usually like it's spaced out, but here we are. We can do it. We also have a guest on today. Tavi Kodiak is going to be joining us for a Women Crush Wednesday to talk about some MLB news that she's been working on. And and Karen, you are obviously in the Disney bubble with Rondo. Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that? What's
The,
going on
the
there?
Grand Destino. This is where the Lakers are staying. Rajon Rondo calls it Motel 6.
Are you going to get in JR's stories, JR Smith's stories?
No, I'm okay.
Actually, I think they took his phone away or something.
Wow. Good hot start for JR.
Well, he's always going to be a hot start. So yeah, he basically got his Instagram taken away, but we'll see what happens. What about you, Kyndall? What's going on? What's happening?
Just sweat my ass off out here in Utah. Yeah.
Well, you're putting work in. You got to talk to a legend.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yesterday I got to work
yeah.
with Billie Jean King.
Wow.
I know. She said my name and I almost fainted.
Oh my God, I can only imagine.
Make it your ringtone.
Right.
Right?
Girl,
Right?
can you repeat that and just say, I'm not available? Please leave a message.
Yeah. She
Yeah,
was
well,
super cute.
I'm so excited to see what you're working on with her when you're able to share that out with all of us. I mean,
Yep.
God, that's so cool. I
It
can't
was
even
so
imagine.
awesome. I got in the Skype. I was like the last one, and her face was just right there, and I was like, "Whoa! Oh my god, this is
That's really
happening!"
cool.
Yeah, it was
That
super
is
cool.
so cool. That's so cool. I'm so glad that you've had that experience. And like I said, I can't wait for you to share when you can.
Next week.
I'm going to look forward to that. Super
Yeah.
excited. Very excited. Um, it's hot here in Los Angeles. Kyndall, you are missed in this LA heat. And as always, we're just trying to keep our masks on and wash our hands and our asses and stay safe as possible.
Yep.
But we have a pretty good show today. So let's get into our house cleaning updates. One, please subscribe or like and review us on Apple Podcasts and or on Spotify. And make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Hoops Talking and at TikTok where The Hoops Talk Podcast. Also, I just went to our Redbubble store and I updated some of our designs. So a lot of our designs are now on masks, on journals, on different types of sweatshirts and t-shirts, the sweaty and petty stickers, buttons, and what have you. So if you want to head over there, maybe we'll do a giveaway. I don't know. We talk.
We tried that.
We'll see. Maybe it'll just be a like or something, a little less extensive because we tried it. I know. Another update I want to share with y'all is our Portland Trail Blazer fan, Marcy Marshall. This is breaking news. Insider breaking news. I believe she has decided to choose the talents of the New York Liberty as her
Okay.
WNBA team.
Oh, all right, Marcy. Oh,
I know. So I was I knew she would never pick Seattle Storm because there's something weird like Portland and Seattle that I don't have
There's
the
There's Pacific Northwest beef.
Yeah, it's like the
there's some sort of,
LASF beef, right? The LASF
yeah,
beef.
there's
Yeah.
definitely some kind of beef there. I'm not quite sure. I haven't
Okay.
unpacked it yet. Maybe she can join us on our podcast and let us know more about that. But I
Yeah.
knew Seattle, even with Sue Bird, there was just not enough there for her to go in that direction. I didn't think she would do the Sparks. Like, I don't know why, but I felt maybe as, for, my connection
Yeah.
with her.
To be friends.
Yeah, because we're friends, like best friends forever. But she decided to go New York Lib. So she and my husband are officially New York Liberty fans.
All
And
right.
that's breaking fan news. So
Hey.
there you go. New York
Wow.
Liberty. You got a real one. You got a real one there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all my updates. You guys have anything in particular? Karen, did you get your masks yet, or Kendall?
I did, yes.
Okay, so you got your mask.
I
What
checked the
about
store out. I mean, I'm about to get some more masks / sweaty and petty t-shirt. That one was
right?
banging.
Thank you. I did that. You're welcome. That sweaty and petty stuff is really good. Anything, Kendall, besides talking to a legend? We all good? We're ready to move on? All
Let's do
right.
it.
Let's do it. We're going to bring on our guest next. So hold on your horses and we'll be back. Hi, Tavi. Welcome to the Hoops Talk.
Hi.
Hey.
So good to have you. We are so honored to have you during our Women Crush Wednesday segment. We're talking to Tavi Kodiak, a writer for Dodger Yard and a baseball fanatic, and we are so excited to have you. Tavi reached out to me. She is working on some really interesting kind of modernizing MLB, which I feel we've always talked about, like, let's bring them out of the dark ages, kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
And a few things to hit on is that, and like I said, everything I learned is mostly on the internet, but I know we talked about this, so I think I'm going to clear. But please, Tavi, any point, tell me that I'm wrong. One, I know you played softball and you were kind of bullied out of softball.
Yeah.
You did come back to baseball as a fan in your 30s, and you became a huge Dodgers fan. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I grew up in Middle Tennessee, where gender roles in sports were like, you know, you played football or you were a cheerleader, and I was a cheerleader at like 3. It was ridiculous. Um, but my sister started playing softball, and you always want to be like your big sister, so I started playing. I was on a team called the Pink Pandas. I was not thrilled with the pink. That's not to say you can't love pink and play baseball. I just
Sure.
myself was not thrilled with being a pink panda. And I saw kind of how like the boys had these really cool jerseys and the pants, the stirrup pants and the cleats and everything. And we had like oversized pink t-shirts and like these blue shorts that like were like elastic shorts. And like just the field, the difference between the fields, the care that was given to them was so different. And you couldn't play baseball as a girl. You had to play softball. And that's not to say softball is inferior. Softball is a different game. It has different strategies. Fast pitch is terrifying in speed. And so, yeah, so but like just seeing that disparity early on, and then of course being just absolutely hounded out of organized sports by bullies was just really frustrating. And then so I kind of like had a small taste of what it was like to not fit into something that you love, and the idea that that's the only meal some people get to eat because of the way they look, because of the color of their skin or their background. That's infuriating. So while I don't know the extent that some of these athletes have had to go through their entire life, I can at least kind of commiserate with them of understanding what it's like to not belong in something that you just love and brings you joy.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. And, I think we all, like, I know Kendall played softball and I was in swimming, and Karen was in basketball. So we all have had a taste of that organized sports. And I know the statistic is that girls usually drop out in the early teens. And I can understand why. Like, I mean, beyond the fact that if you could remember everything going on with your body, when you're a teenager,
Mhm.
and then having no one to be empathetic about those changes, as well as the fact that you're just not supported.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
was lucky. I was able to start horseback riding,
Okay.
and I was competitive at that. I won, state events and things like that. But it was a very female-driven sport. Like my
Mm,
trainer was female. Almost all of my competitors were female. It was rare, actually, until you get to the very top levels, pro level. It's
mm,
actually really rare to find a lot of male competitors in the sport, which is a shame. It should be more equal. But yeah, so it was kind of when I found a female driven sport that I was able to kind of focus on me and not necessarily like I mean, that sounds a little selfish, but like it was about my performance and
sure.
not necessarily like other people. I still got bullied
Right.
there too. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be a fat woman and ride a horse. What are you talking about?
Oh
Well,
my
I'll
gosh.
just take my state championship ribbon and put it on my fat body.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I still got bullied because that's what, unfortunately, some people are like that. But
Right.
I was able to
Mhm.
kind of, my performance affected me and not the whole team, and it was a little
Got it.
easier to overcome. Um,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah,
so then you did get back into baseball, like
yeah,
as a fan,
yeah,
in your 30s, and then you're a Dodgers fan, as I know
yeah.
you write for Dodger
Well,
Yard.
I gotta
How's that
say,
go?
it's so easy to be a Dodgers um, yeah, I grew up in Tennessee. You were either a Cubs fan or a Braves fan because you got WGN and TBS,
Hmm.
or yeah, TBS. And so my dad was the Cubs fan. My grandmother was the Braves fan. She was really into Chipper Jones, so we were Chipper Jones fans. And then because it was kind of like I just recoiled from sports, like it, and then of course in football I was a Titans fan, and that's its own kind of trauma. And then like when Jeff Fisher showed up with the Rams, I was so mad. Oh my! I was like, get out of my town. He didn't last long. So anyway, yeah, I came back to it. What really helped was just finding people who liked it.
Mm,
I was in this kind of like weird little game nerd uh, group in Santa Monica, and I met my friend Justine, who is just a huge Dodgers fan. Her whole family's Dodgers fans. And I was able to actually talk about it again.
mm,
But it was honestly, it was going to Dodger Stadium and
Mhm.
like just the crowd there. I mean, it's a little heartbreaking because that's not going to happen anytime soon, but like
right.
the crowd, the absolute instant connection with everyone around you. I remember being in the moment that sold me on it was being in the left field pavilion, and it was like a Reds game. It was a really cheap ticket day. I went by myself because the ticket I found it online for like $7, and I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
But it was like, and I don't remember but it was a Dodger who hit the home run into the, and there was this guy here, it was this Hispanic father with like kids running around. He was very stoic and very chill and like had his sunglasses on. And when that home run ball landed like 8 feet away from him, he went nuts. Like we made yelling, and we made like direct eye contact and high-fived and like all this stuff, and it was just this instant moment of connection. And like the hockey bros like down a couple feet from me were going nuts, and like the pavilions are just insane. Like I remember one game there was a gentleman in like full Hasidic Jewish dress running around yelling about Taco Tuesday, and I was just like, oh my God, this is great. And it opened my city up to me in a way that I'd
Mm,
never felt before. Like I was in the film industry, which is very Los Angeles. I was in the protest community, which is very Los Angeles.
mm,
I was in the nerd community and lots of things, but never was there like this instant ticket to anywhere in the city. Like if
mm,
I see someone in a Dodgers hat or a Dodgers jersey at any time, I have something to say to them. Whether
right.
or not we speak the same language,
Right.
like first language, we speak baseball.
Right.
And everyone can go, "Hey, Kike," and why wouldn't you? But
Right.
so it helped me fall in love with Los Angeles again,
Mm,
and
mm, I
and
love that.
and that really just kind of cemented because I was so like resident of sports for so
Mm,
long, I didn't get it. But then
right.
like that one home run, that connection with that
Mm,
father of like 4 kids who I have hardly anything in common with.
sure.
I don't have kids. I don't have a family. I don't have those kind of
Mm,
responsibilities that he does. But we in that moment we were the same. So it was great.
I love that you tell that story about how you got reconnected with sports in your city, because I really think that leads into what it is that you're trying to do with the MLB and their inability to be as inclusive as truly sports are, right? Sports are definitely one of those things, to your point, like when you said, you see someone on the street, they're wearing for me, it's Lakers. I see someone, the Lakers, and everyone's like Lakers. And, you know, um, to see that and have that all, regardless of gender, race, economics, like that kind of melts away and you're united in this feeling for a team. And I think that leads into what you're trying to do when you decided that you wanted to look at the MLB a little bit closer and say, hey, you know what? Why are you in the dark ages still with how you talk about people that play the sport, the actual athletes and the actual umpires and the coaches? Why are you still so exclusive to one gender when you're doing that? So why don't you tell us about the project that you undertook to kind of break that open?
Yeah. Well, the reason is I worked for a little while for a sports union last season, and they told me that if I was hired on full time, it was a contract work. If I was hired on full time, I would be the first woman to ever work for that union.
Wow.
And it blew my mind. And I was like,
Crazy.
are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? So, it it still breaks my brain to this moment,
Right.
because women have been in, like, the first female owner was in 1911, Helene Britton. She owned the St. Louis Cardinals. Lizzie Murphy was the first female player in 1922. She actually, she played in MLB All-Star games. She played in the American League. She played in the National League. She played in the Negro League. She faced Satchel Paige, like one of the greatest pitchers of all time. She played, it was one game, but she played first base for the Cleveland Giants, which was a Negro League team. Bernie Sciarra, 1972. It took 3 years of lawsuits to get her to be able to umpire a game. And she lasted one game because she was harassed. She was harassed and not supported. I can't remember. I think it might have been her. I may be misremembering, but like the light outside her hotel window was smashed or something. I believe that was her. I might be misremembering it, but she was harassed. And it took her 3 years to earn that. And she got there and she wasn't supported. And Sue Falsoni in 2012 for the Dodgers, she was the first head trainer for any major sport, let alone baseball. And then of course now we have Alyssa Nakin and who's a coach for the San Francisco Giants. Hooray. But women are there.
Right.
If you want to take women out of baseball completely, you have to knock down Fenway, because Janet Marie Smith led the renovation and saved Fenway. You got to give back Camden Yards. She also worked, for the Phillies for a time. You have to give back New Dodger Stadium. Women are all over baseball. So why are the rules only he, his? That's so dumb.
You're right.
And they've been through lawsuits since the 70s with Bernie Sciarra, and there's been more and more and more. Everyone gives flack on Angel Hernandez, but he's been fighting in the courts for racial equality. And regardless of what you think of him as an umpire, he's been fighting that fight. So I looked at the rules, and when you get all the way through the 2019 rules on page 155, there's this little paragraph that's in italics, and it says, I'm paraphrasing here, basically, anytime that we say he, his, or her, his, we mean she, hers, or hers as well, when it's a lady. Not lady, but when the person.
Right.
That's forgive my language. That's some bullshit right there.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Let's add that at the end. Whoops.
Yeah, we love being a footnote. Yeah, love being that footnote.
Heaven to do it. I'm so mad. Hold on, I need a drink.
I mean, let's also not forget that women basically saved the league during the war. Right?
Exactly. like that's major.
Yeah, I mean, I'm focusing basically on Major League Baseball, but that women are all over. There's a great, I can't remember, I think it's called The Queen of the Negro League, about the woman who helped basically spread Negro League baseball, and help keep it alive for a long time. And women were much more accepted there. In fact, I wish I had remembered more of this. I believe it was, there's an umpire now, she's known as the Fair Lady. She found more acceptance in the Negro leagues than in other leagues. And there are instances all over
Right.
that. Like, it's not just women who are oppressed here. Let's not.
Right.
Right.
The reason why they allowed persons of color into baseball was because they were good players and they could.
Right.
And let's not talk about how they didn't pay the Negro League teams that they took these players from
Yeah.
like they would a different team. They didn't trade contracts and things like that.
Right.
It wasn't a fair trade, but ultimately it was for a better cause.
Right.
Anyway, so it took about a week, not working steadily. A lot of that was formatting, because it's in a weird format. But yeah, I just took any instance of gender and I replaced it with any his he pronouns and replaced them with a noun. I didn't replace them with they, which is absolutely a valid singular noun. It has been for like centuries. That's not the problem. It's more that baseball rules are very specific, and it's even specific to where like there's the batter. He's a batter when he or she is the. I almost did it myself. There's the batter, and then they hit the ball, and then they become the batter runner until they stop at a base, and then they're the runner. So there's like this seconds long period in which they are the batter runner, but a lot can happen in those couple seconds.
Sure.
You have to be very specific with it. So that's why I didn't just do search replace the for there or something like that.
Right.
Because it has to be specific. That being said, I still might have messed up. They're really complicated rules. You can tell they've been worked on for 100 years. The language is a lot of
Hey, I've always said that I could revolutionize baseball. One, we would always stop at 7th inning, regardless of the score. Because that's when you could stop drinking too. So I've always just said, you know what, 7 innings. We don't need 10 anymore.
I mean, I loved every
11.
moment of the 18 inning World Series. But that's just, we won that one too. It's the only one. But still, I get it. I mean, pace of play clock is great to keep the game moving, but that does mean that the home plate umpire only gets 2 minutes of rest. So, I'll also advocate for umpires because I just think they get the short shrift. People complain about minor league salaries. Minor league umpires have it worse. They have to make their own accommodations. Their per diems are laughable. Even the major league umpires who make decent salaries make less than half the league minimum.
Right.
Granted, they have longer careers. There's a little bit less risk to them. So I do understand that. But, the pace of play clock, which does keep it moving along, that home plate umpire is bending down 300 times a game to see a pitch.
It's a lot.
So 2-minute breaks in between. Maybe they jug some water. They're not allowed to leave the field. They can't go to the bathroom. They can't sit down. So on one hand, 7 innings would probably be, slightly improve your umping chance. It's also really funny to watch spring training this year. None of the umpires, at least publicly, I'm not sure what's going on behind closed doors. They haven't settled their 2020 contract yet, so they're not in training. And watching the clubs, like the clubbies or the coaches or another player like play umpire, I feel like there's going to be an appreciation for umpires when they come back.
Well, you were also when you and I talked. You also talked about Pam Pastama.
Oh, Pam Pastama, yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about her? Because I actually went down a rabbit hole once after you and I talked, and I thought it was fascinating what happened to her. And I don't know how top of mind that is for people because it happened and it was like, okay, done because she settled. But I'd love to get your take on it.
Yeah. So sorry, my cat was digging at a box, so I had to, I love her, but she is annoying. That's what a cat is. So yeah, Pam Postema is she was kind of the second umpire to come along, and she was really good at her job. But the amount of harassment that she had, it's maddening. And in general, I believe that the abuse that umpires take if any of that was directed at a player, people would be up in arms, but
Right.
somehow it's okay to dump on the umpire. So
Right.
take all of that rage and anger and then add like a sexist element to it, and it gets scary. It
Yeah.
absolutely gets scary. If you read the court documents that she filed against the MLB, it's some pretty eye-opening stuff.
Mm.
And I don't think it really includes everything. I think it's just kind of provable stuff.
Mm.
There's the story about how she came out to umpire the plate and there was a frying pan waiting for her on home plate. And people would tell her like, go home, that sort of thing. Go, don't,
Jesus.
aren't you like, shouldn't you get back in the kitchen? Managers, when they came out to give their lineups, would try and kiss her. One of them did. Completely inappropriate.
Absolutely.
She was called the C word on multiple times. There was a pitcher, cats. I believe, I can't remember his name, but he basically said like that her umpiring was like an affront to God and the Bible, and just like all of these
Jesus.
horrible things. And like the fact that she stayed in as long as she did is remarkable because I got bullied out of sports. I don't know that I would have the fortitude,
right.
But granted, I was a kid. I would hope I'd have more fortitude now, but it doesn't have to happen. You shouldn't have to have those walls. You shouldn't have to have this horrible, shell around you to be able to do the job that you love.
Yeah.
Rio Cortizio, who came on a little while after, basically got blackballed out of the AAA for advancing because none of the AAA umpires would retire until she fell in the rankings because she was number one. She was going to get a AAA job. AAA is the next step to the majors. Reporters kind of called it out and people went,
right. Yeah, no, I thought the story that you told me about Pam, I think it resonated so much to me because I also went and when I did my research about her, she was one of those, she herself said, look, I had a drinking problem because I tried to drink as much as I could with them. I tried to be one of the boys and I let so many things slide because I'm like, hey, you got to pay to play. And she was also, like you were saying, she was in love with baseball. And it finally just broke her. And she ended up going back to live with her parents who were already at a certain age where she could take care of them. And she just left baseball behind entirely. And and she says like she kind of took a little bit of blame of not doing more to try to advance women in baseball. It's sad to hear that, because she was like, oh, I didn't have that support. I didn't even have the language to try to describe how I could advance women in baseball.
Right.
And so that's why I think what you are doing in excavating these rules and starting to have these languages, which that sometimes you just need an outsider that's going to come in and say like, no, like enough. Like, let's take a look at from the very epicenter of where this game starts from, which are the rules, and how do we start changing that, and how do we have those conversations? And I think that's really important. The conversation. People a lot of times, and I think I do it myself. You go like, that's just keep working hard. And then that will speak for itself. And you're like, God, wishing and a praying and a hoping. And sometimes, I think like someone like Pam, she definitely put down the bricks, right?
Oh yeah.
We're not starting from zero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is good.
Here's an interesting thing that it was kind of tossed off in a conversation I had with another umpire, Perry Barber, who's a great follow on Twitter, by the way. She kind of mentioned that MLB clubhouses, when they renovate, they have to create a space for female umpires. And I have a friend who he's on the Dodger renovation team. I asked him and he's like, yeah, that's been since at least 2013, because that's when the Dodgers clubhouse was renovated. So that means there's about 8 different clubhouses at least out there that have a space for female umpires. It's waiting, like it is there. And any other clubhouse that this is the major leagues, the minor leagues.
Sorry, I'm laughing because they're like, oh, starting from 2013,
Yeah, no,
Right.
women just
Yeah,
Women
sprung up.
exist.
First lawsuit was in 1972. So yeah, it's taken some time. Well, here's the other thing. Perry also told me, which I found fascinating. When she was in umpire school in the late 80s, early 90s, they were making a concentrated effort to recruit minority men. And just this year, 2020, they had the first black crew chief in Kerwin Danley and the first Mexican-born crew chief in Alfonso Marquez. And goodness sakes, is Mexico a baseball sport? You know, like
I know.
Right.
so recruitment works. It takes time.
Right.
It is, you know, people do have to retire. It is a unionized job. Goodness knows there are certain umpires we wish would leave.
Right.
And they never
Go
will.
West.
Anyway, but I mean, as long as they're still performing at their job, I don't know. But so like recruitment works. Like it absolutely works. They should be going after women. I was really excited when I read an article from 2018 that the Wendell Stead School was providing a scholarship for women in umpiring, and I emailed them and I was like, oh, please give me these details because I'm writing this article about you know how I think women should be umpired. And they're like, unfortunately, we no longer have that. I'm like, wait a minute. Setting it up in 2018.
And then now gone.
It's 2020. Is it gone?
No, like, we decided it just didn't work.
I retweeted like something about how like you could, they said like, you know, email us to be able to talk to an instructor. And they like liked it and retweeted it. And I was so tempted to just be like, give us scholarships, you dicks. Like, so, yeah, it's been interesting kind of just poking holes. You know, women, I mean, if you go to a baseball game, there's women there.
All over, yeah.
It's different stats. I've seen it as low as 27%. I've seen it as high as 40%. I think it's closer to 40 fans in baseball. So, you know, they keep talking about, you know, there's two things you can do, I think, to promote the sport in America. One, in blackouts. That's dumb. People move all over the country.
For real.
Stop it with the blackouts. Stop it.
Right.
Two, get women involved. We have money. We spend money. We spend more money than men usually. I mean, in a household, typically women tend to spend more money than the men. Let's spend it on some baseball stuff.
I mean, even if you had $1, just imagine all the women in the United States giving you that $1.
Yeah.
That's already an improvement over your bottom line.
Yep.
Right. So,
and I also wanted to bring up one more person who I think is important. Melissa Luedtke, I think is how you say her name. And that was 1977. She sued I believe it's the MLB because she was not allowed into the Yankees locker room as a reporter. And if there's one place where I think women have made fantastic strides is in sports reporting. I know we have Alana Rizzo with the Dodgers. Absolutely love her, but there are many women. And I think that's the most visible place that we've seen women in sports. And I think it's not the only place we've seen women, but I just want to acknowledge like the work they have done and just how smart these women are and how calm and just the amount of times Alana Rizzo has dodged Gatorade is just beautiful. While still being very professional. So I did want to bring up that other name. But again, 77. That's the longest. Even like, so I was on this. I think it was a writer's workshop. It was some Zoom. I don't know. A friend of mine invited me to it. They're like, they're talking about sports writing. Do you want to go? I'm like, heck yeah. It was, oh crap. I've already forgotten his name. Oh, Rick Tielander at the Chicago Sun-Times. There was a woman who asked him like who his favorite female reporters were. And his answer was, well, it's really hard for women to be sports reporters. It's hard for them to be in there. And I'm so
crazy
glad
answer.
Whoa.
they muted, like the people watching didn't have mics because I was screaming. I was like, if you don't know any female reporters, just go back to it and learn. Like,
I mean, we are in a day and age where that kind of thing is unacceptable. And we always have the discussion too. It's like we all can like say it and have it on, have discussions on Twitter more publicly, and we can, do all the support. But really, it's like there's a lot of people in leadership that can't take those types of comments lightly, and can't look at the things that are happening and not understand. And even if you just want to follow the money, which is normally what is the thing that's going to push the conversation, is how much dollar bills you're going to get, even from that perspective, because you see the big changes happening with NFL. Please, that is a money play. And let's just all be honest.
Yes.
Tip of the hat, respect that you want your paper, and we know you're making these strides because of it. And it's better for all of us. So I think MLB is in one of those situations where they too, because we've seen the audience going down, the viewing going down,
Right.
recruitment going down.
Yeah.
Soccer in this country is definitely spiking up as far as viewership and recruiting. So MLB, for whatever reason, I know they have a very, very strong players league or players union.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They need to start.
Compared to other leagues,
compared to other leagues, I should say, because they're still not gonna play. They're still like
the
having
really
those
hard
discussions.
thing about sports in the U.S. is that the major league teams are functional monopolies. You can say, at least in baseball, you can say, okay, well, the Atlantic League is an independent league. It's not affiliated with MLB. Yet they were testing out MLB rules. They were testing out the electronic umpires. So how independent is it really?
Right.
If you want to play pro sports, you're kind of limited. I didn't support the XFL just because I didn't really know much about it, but I absolutely support it in theory because yes, break that monopoly. There should be more than one way to consume football or baseball in the US. But going back to like the drop in MLB, I think a lot of that has to do with the local level and the treatment of umpires. Because it is so hard to find people who want to umpire at a local level because of I remember at this is I was a kid, this is in the late early 90s. Umpires would just hide in the clubhouse.
Wow. Because
they would just get screamed at. Well, how was that a strike? How was that a ball? That sort of thing. And so I saw a study. It was like a league in Carolina where 40% of the people who umpired refused to do a second year. They just refused it. They wouldn't do it because of the abuse. So if you can't find people to umpire games, if all like how fun is it when you have to play a game with some person from the audience literally pulled out of hey, can you umpire here? Put on some gear, call balls and strikes. What does that say about the care that is given at local leagues?
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read Ian Desmond's really just heartbreaking post about how disparate it is for kids who come from lower income, who tend to be minority players, and just how heartbreaking that is. Yeah. So you have to fix that at a local level, or it takes a lifetime to be able to throw 90 miles an hour, let alone 100. These kids touching 100. It takes discipline from an early age to be able to hit 90 to 100. Yeah. All of these baseball players, listening to, there's a really great podcast called The Big Swing, which is hosted by Ross Stripling and his buddy Cooper. Quit scratching on the rug. I'm sorry, my cat. Cat mom, who is right in the middle of my shout out. Anyway, he has players on, and they talk about when they first fell in love with baseball, and it was always early. And if these players had not been supported, a lot of them are lucky to have parents to support them. They have communities to support them. Let's not pretend that money doesn't make a difference. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's changed since I was a kid, but again, I wasn't in the thick of it. But they have to go to these viewings. They have to go to camps. They have to go to all of these things, and it shouldn't be that way. Or it should be more accessible. Right. Even umpires. Like there's 3 MLB camps that they offer in 3 cities, and if you can't get to those cities, you're not going to get seen. a lot of people who go to those camps do come out with scholarships to go to either the MLB Training Academy or Wendelstedt. But if you can't get to Nashville or St. Paul or somewhere in California, you're not going to get seen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone improves from having money, but like make it to where you have access. One of the great things about Twitter, there's this Twitter account called Pitching Ninja. Or is it Pitching Ninja? Hold on, I may be conflating. Anyway, but basically they are. Oh no, I don't think it's Pitching Ninja. Pitching Ninja is a great follow, by the way. But but there are accounts that basically you can submit your reel, for lack of a better word, that's a film term. I'm not sure what the baseball term is for it. But your highlight reel, and you can get seen, and you can get those scouts out to see you. You can get people.
That's awesome.
And see you in a way that has never been accessible before. So on one hand, yes, it's great, but you still have to have a camera. You still have to have someone who can film you. You still have to have, all of these things. So it's getting more equitable. But it's good God.
Your cat just attacked you. I know. She just got attacked by her cat. For those that are on the iPod or your podcast, she's got attacked.
Little orange jerk. Oh, I love you. Get That's the problem. They've got the zoomies and they're fighting. Stop fighting.
You're getting them. You're getting them riled up with all of this like baseball talk. They're excited.
They. Yeah. I'm sorry. You got to see how giant.
That's actually good because we always need like cats in our lives. Cats.
Oh my goodness.
Cats are good.
Yours are red. Okay.
Well, Tavi, I like I said. What you're doing again is just another brick in the path, right? We are not starting from zero. It's more bricks and the knowledge. Jesus Christ, listen to you talk. I mean, it is like an
I have
notes. But still, this is the type of thing where it's like the access. It needs to be wider and it needs to look deeper into these places where you have passionate people that are willing to give their time, their energy, and their own investment to get the game going. I think MLB needs that. I think all leagues need that.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the next person.
Change.
Yeah, I haven't looked at NFL or hockey rules or anything like that. I have to say, literally every other major sports league has done better on the officials front. There have been female officials in the NFL, MLS, and NHL. So they have done better on that front. I just don't know as much about those leagues.
Right.
I will say I had some reservations when I started doing this because it was like, how dare I do this? And and I know there's going to be people on the internet who like, how dare you? And I'm like,
hey,
who cares?
But
you know what?
And I'm like, it doesn't change the game. It doesn't at all. The game is still put your players on base. I almost said guys. It's so hard to
it is.
Now that I'm more aware of language, listening to announcers is almost grating. And I love our announcers. I love Joe and Oral. They're fantastic. They have a podcast at the end of which they tell each other that they love each other, which is just
we're gonna do that.
And they talk about cooking. They are incredibly wholesome men. I love them. But the language around baseball is gendered.
Yeah.
And as of right now, it is all only males on the field. But you still hear those like terms that have been used for two guys on two on
right. It's true.
And it's
true.
Permeating.
Yeah.
And this is not a dig at Joe and Earl. They are
no,
great, but,
no.
But it's going to take an effort. It's going to take people like Joe and Earl making concentrated efforts to have those glittering generalities be neutral.
Yep. That's where we've always said it. It's like we need to have those people in those positions with the access, with the platform to use it. And We need people like yourself that are like, you know what, I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to do this to the rules, and hopefully it'll start the revolution for MLB. That's what we all want. That's what we're hoping for.
Yep.
Tavi, you are a joy. You're a baseball
So much
encyclopedia.
knowledge.
So much knowledge.
Yes.
Where can people find your work?
Yeah.
Tweet everything. Tell our audience.
So my Twitter handle is season_baseball, SZN_baseball. Tavi is my name. And you can find my writing at Dodger Yard. I have a couple pieces on Medium, but mostly Dodger Yard. The next piece up, it won't be up by the time this podcast comes up, but it's coming. I'm doing a story on Derek O'Hara, who is the director of development and planning, I believe, is his title. But he's one of the people working on the Dodger renovation, the Dodger Stadium renovation.
Okay.
Cool.
And the amount of love that he and his team has put into this stadium is just absolutely amazing.
I love
And
it.
they've gotten some flack about their batter's eye, which I would just remind people, the stadium was built without a batter's eye. And the reason why the batter's eye went in was because car headlights used to shine into the so they're working with some parameters that, but no, it's really heartbreaking because we were supposed to have the All-Star game at Dodger Stadium
Sure.
this year. And there's some really cool things. There's a bar that actually is on level with the bullpen, and you can watch, Joe Kelly warm up.
I like that.
That's cool.
And it's a reflective glass, so they're not like looking back at you, and they won't notice if you're.
I wouldn't mind.
I know.
Look at me.
I think they might. It's still very private for the bullpen, but you get to have a beer, have a drink, and watch them. There's play areas that are happening, and it's there. You actually, for the first time in Dodger history, in Dodger Stadium history, you're going to be able to walk all the way around the stadium.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So
Convenient.
That's interesting. I know.
And that sounds like a no duh, but when the stadium was built,
Yeah.
it was built so that people in the pavilion only could enter in the pavilion,
Right.
and
Right.
couldn't mix.
Right.
So
there's
What
that.
do you know?
Innovation.
And then, when does this piece about the rules drop?
So that it should actually be out Monday, the 13th.
Okay.
So I think Wednesday is when this episode.
Yeah. This will be after it drops. So everybody, we'll have everything in our show notes. Make sure you send us the links, and we'll go ahead and put that once it goes live. Again, such a joy. Thank you so much for spending the time. I mean, it's just
Yes,
I'm learning. I love a guest that teaches us so many things and has a good discussion. So
I hope I got all my facts straight. I also
you sounded good to me.
Yeah, we can pop up video
right
if we need
right
to.
on. And we got
the internet will tell me if I
we got that and a cat attack. I'm here for Saturday.
That's for sure getting clipped out and posted.
Oh yeah. I have the power of editing, and that's staying in, and it will be one of our clips. So
I'm really interested to hear the noise that came out of my mouth when 22 pounds of fat came flying out.
Again, Tavi, thank you so much. We're so happy to have you. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much, and we will be right back. And we are back. Hello, everybody, back again. Sports in the age of coronavirus. Thank you, Tavi, for being the guest. It was so awesome. Baseball extravaganza.
Baseball.
Anyone likes baseball, they're gonna like this. They're gonna like this. So sports in the age of coronavirus. Kyndall, you recently posted a photo of you and someone known as Pat Mahomes.
Oh my!
Made a lot of money. And made a lot of news. Tell us about that photo, and tell us about the guy got paid, right?
So here's what happened. I was out having a nice little afternoon with my mom, And I got home. I wasn't really paying attention to the internet or anything. Got home, got online, and saw that Pat Mahomes signed for like $500 million and a 10-year extension. And I used to work at NFL Networks. So back when he was getting drafted, I think it was about 3 years ago, he came through NFL Network because they were doing all their rounds, you know, ESPN and everything, to make him look good for the draft. And he stopped by NFL Network and he went to Texas Tech. I went to Texas Tech. So I, of course, had to get a picture with him.
Yep.
Okay.
Guns up in the picture. Guns up, suns up, guns up. So we took a picture. That was about 3 years old. Anyway, so I got home on the day that he signed, and I was like, this will be funny because we just got back from Dollar Tree.
I love it so much that it was true.
It was so true. I was not even fucking around. So I tweeted out the picture of me and him from 3 years ago, and I said, one of us in this picture just signed for $500 million, and the other just bought body wash at Dollar Tree. And for whatever reason, it blew up. You never know
It
what's doing
so
well on the
blew up.
internet, and it blew up. And yeah,
There's
unfortunately,
all the
he didn't
Dollar
see
Tree
it.
fans.
Yeah, I guess I feel like I'm owed a part. Like he needs to write me a check because
I
since
feel
that
that.
picture was taken, he's won the Super Bowl. He's won Super Bowl MVP and he's won NFL MVP.
Right.
So
And
I
then
feel
got
like,
his big ass contract.
and then got a big contract. So I feel like I'm owed a
3
little
years
bit.
later. My
Yeah.
God.
I think percentages need to be looked at.
I would take
Yeah.
even just a 1.5%.
Yeah.
I would even think a
Yeah.
0.3%.
I'll take 100. I'll take $100,000. That's a drop in
Yeah,
the bucket.
That's a
man.
it's
drop.
nothing. It's nothing.
Life changing
It's
for
like,
me.
yeah, it's nothing for him. I mean, I saw that fool jumping into a lake on his social,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
that
But
guy.
yeah,
Even
That's an
if I think
expensive
even
jump.
if he gets, even if he gets injured, I think he still gets like 10 million. Like it's
He's
something
still
like
he's
that.
like
Damn.
still guaranteed like 40-something million, I think, even
Yeah,
if he gets injured.
yeah.
But I think
Wow.
what really makes that whole tweet was that I legitimately had just bought body wash.
I love how some people are like, oh, make sure you get Pat some.
Yeah.
He can buy the whole goddamn Dollar Tree franchise. I don't need to buy him no body wash.
I know. It couldn't have worked out any more perfect. Like I legit was at Dollar Tree that morning.
Well, it's funny
man.
because I know you had way back in the day, I guess in January when we were talking Super Bowl. Was it this past January? When
Probably.
you went there and you
Oh,
were
yeah.
talking about you're a big Pat Mahomes fan
Yep.
anyway, because
Mhm.
of the association with going to school with him and stuff. So you're
Yeah.
definitely part of the glow up, in my opinion.
Yes.
Right?
Adjacent.
I feel like
You-
I'm good luck Chuck.
Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
right?
Good
So
luck,
you just-
Chuck, right
Good
here.
luck.
Take
Chuck.
a picture with me. Anybody who wants to win something
And
just take
get
a picture
big.
with me.
Yeah. But have them sign that 0.03%
Yeah.
contract.
I'm gonna need some money up front though.
Yeah. Booking fee and then the
Kendall wants-
0.3%.
Kendall needs her checks. Kendall needs her
Yeah.
checks.
Yeah.
Well, good on him, Pat Mahomes, and that was pretty huge. So good for him. Moving on to the sweatiest weeks thus far of the WNBA.
Florida
I
sweaty.
swear I was drinking Gatorade with all the coverage. I was like, I cannot keep up with all this coverage. It was so good. The Next, which is a newsletter, which I talked about on our last episode, they have been pumping it out. So much good coverage. Just all the Ari, Girls Talk Sports, all those with Sky Chicago, all these different places that we talked about. They have been pumping it out because the WNBA made it to their bubble.
The wobble.
And I know, well, first off, they did there were some accommodations that were super questionable. This was brought to our attention by players. Okay. So the players did bring out videos of like rat traps and huge bugs and
Worm
food that looked a little
infestation.
unappeasing, which they then brought to the WNBA's attention, and they said that it's been fixed and moved forward. And I do think that like a lot of outlets that don't normally cover the WNBA did kind of jump on the
Oh,
bandwagon
for sure.
for the drama that was happening, which is, I mean, it's kind of annoying, but I mean, it's all about clickbait a lot of times, unfortunately. And I know some of the players were like, hey, you know what, can you also cover us when we're doing well and we're actually playing? And that's a big, that's a, double-edged sword there with that type of coverage. But, and again, like people are like, this shouldn't even be happening. You shouldn't be in a place that's not ready, right, for what was happening.
Exactly.
They've had plenty of time to
Oh,
prepare
yeah.
Oh,
for their
yeah.
arrival. But that aside, that pettiness aside, because we live for it, all the players that were tested were negative. They're currently in the bubble and they've been training. And I know that some of the big news is the Mystics, Tina Charles and Elena Deladon, are looking at medical opt-outs, because I do believe also that Deladon has been
Immune
battling Lyme disease
Oh,
or something.
shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah, she has
something like
Lyme
that.
disease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did Lyme disease. So that is a big game changer. And I know that Liz Cambage also decided to opt out of the season. I wasn't quite sure if that was for medical or not. But I know that one of the Sparks, I forget which player, but she also was tested positive for COVID. So, there's a lot of these things still happening. The WNBA did announce that they are planning on playing July 25th is when they're going to start play. And so they're hopefully no one gets sick. They've had some training camps going. And as much as I'm conflicted, I'm going to be really excited when it starts. But I don't want anyone to be sick, and who knows what's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen. And, but yeah, that's happening. Other stuff was Karen, you brought this up last episode, the whole Senator Callie Loeffler thing, which is huge.
It exploded, huh? Because she kept running her mouth.
And not in all a positive way, and not
not a productive way.
Yeah, I cannot with her.
Why do W's double down? I don't get it.
Because she's turning it political. Has nothing to do with the WNBA.
And she's getting any publicity is good publicity, right? She's running for Senate or whatever.
She's trying to get the MAGA base behind her, and she's unfortunately using her team to make that, leverage them to make that point. And she says, sports shouldn't be political. It's like, well, then bitch, don't make it political, because that's exactly what you're doing when you are leveraging them for your campaign. Because no one heard anything about you. You could have just sat down and eaten your kale salad and been just fine. But you decided that you wanted to say bullshit. Natasha Cloud was on Don Lemon, which was an excellent interview, where she's like, you know what, there's no place for that kind of language in the WNBA, and that's not what we stand for. But she also says, don't be distracted by crumbs. We want the whole meal. We're here for the whole plate, and some of this shit is crumbs, and that's true too. It's like, it's just detrimental in all ways. And
this is just like what we were talking about on the last episode, that there's nothing political. There shouldn't be anything political about any of this. There's one side of the coin, and it's the right side of the coin.
Period.
And this isn't politics, it's human rights. And if you're against it, then you're a disgusting ass person.
Yeah.
And
selfish, disgusting
that's basically
ass person.
all there is. There's no politics involved in this. This shouldn't be a political thing. Just like wearing a fucking mask shouldn't be a political thing. None of this is all just human rights.
Yeah.
But
agreed.
dumb white girls running for Senate want to pump up their MAGA base when they are the owner of a team that is primarily black
in Atlanta,
in Atlanta,
epicenter of Black culture. I mean,
get out.
It's
Just get out. If you
yeah,
don't
you
like
just
it,
get out.
then you know what? Sell your shares or whatever the fuck you do
Yeah.
and get out.
because you
just
know
get
she's got
out.
money elsewhere, so get the fuck out.
Right.
I know she made money off of the pandemic, so she's got
Right.
all that money.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, let's not forget she's a despicable person. Like, it's not just about like that she's wrong about human rights. She's a despicable person.
Yeah.
Right.
And then again,
profiteering
right.
off of misery.
And then again,
Right.
Black women rising above, and Renee coining her op-ed and offering to have a discussion. And she don't have to because she opted out of WNBA. So
these Black women are better than me because I'd be like, you need to hold my hoops.
hoops off.
Hoops off.
You know? Because I don't think so, miss. Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's infuriating. It really is. And, you know, I look because I know that Baron Davis was talking about like, hey, I'll buy her share of the
Okay,
team.
BD, let's do it.
Well, here's the thing, though, and this is where I go back with, you know, has to do with leadership and the ownership, right? Because you can't just walk in and buy a team. You actually have to be vetted by. You go to the commissioner. In this case, it'd be of Cassie Engelbert. Well, it might be Adam Silver. I'm not quite sure. It might be Adam Silver when it comes to ownership. You have to go to him. You have to make the proposal. You have to show that you have enough money and how you're going to like, you know, vet in the teams and what have you. And then that proposal has to be taken to the owners, and then all the owners have to agree, you know, so there's all these things that are pretty much systemically racist built up so that certain people in certain places and certain monies gets to be in the ownership position. So that's why I'm like, I love that the players will come out and use their voice because, you know, you're punching up, which I understand. And it does make ends. It does get in, you know, it makes inroads. But it's at the leadership, the owners are, you know, a lot of performative allyship of like, oh, sure, go ahead and put a different name on your jersey, or go ahead and paint the courts with, you know, Black Lives Matter, this and that. But it's like, no. Those are, again, crumbs, as Natasha put it. The whole plate is look at the ownership, change how that kind of shit happens, and let's get that Kelly out and real people in that have the same agenda.
Right.
As the
people they should serve, right? Leaders should serve.
Exactly.
And can we talk about the WNBA's half paragraph response?
Oh God.
Oh, she's not part of day-to-day operations. And I'm like this
who
is
cares?
I know, and this is the same argument I have about Home Depot. Like there's a news about like the Home Depot founder funding Trump, and people are like, he's not even on the whatever in charge anymore. I'm like, he's still on the board, and you know he's still making fucking money, and he creates culture. Yeah. So don't come at me and be like, don't boycott them because the employees are gonna. That's not my fault. That's business fault.
Yeah.
They can shift money and continue to keep paying their employees. Agreed. So don't fall victim to that fucking dumbass argument either.
Yeah. No, agreed. So the WNBA, and then today they announced that they're going to do some 12 days of W. We posted that on Instagram. There's a lot of stuff going on. Guys, jump on Twitter. We've already talked about all the people that we know have been there 365 days of the W.
Right.
So follow those people. You know, there's a lot of good stuff happening, and we're just wishing health above all to all the players, and and also please, their video blogs are amazing. Go to TikTok. These women are making some fabulous videos full of really funny content that we share and love and appreciate. So overall, WNBA, come on, let's get after it. Let's get them to start and get them in there. So there's a lot of stuff happening there. Let's see. NBA, they also entered their bubble. I can't sometimes with the NBA. Like, I don't know. It just seems like so dramatic. don't know
First of all,
why.
can we talk about how the NBA players just look like they got it so much better than the WNBA players?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
automatically.
I mean, not that I was surprised,
Right.
but fuck, just even starting there, they can't even get identical equal hotel rooms. You gotta give the
Seriously.
women the rat trap and worm room, and the men are like, oh, let me walk into this suite that looks like a Motel 6. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Oh, I guess rat
Like,
trap worm room.
yeah.
True. It's fucking true. Like, seriously, I thought that they were in an abandoned army base. Is what WNBA looked like. And then like the
Like Barrett.
NBA is like in fucking these really nice suites and I don't know.
Overlooking the water.
Yeah.
And you got Rajon saying he's in a Motel 6. I'm like, that's a Motel 6, man.
Right? They've changed since I knew a Motel 6.
Yeah, right?
Okay, because that looked pretty nice. I know John Morant came out and said, my room's nice, the food's good, whatever. Like, he's just like, you know what? I got time for this.
That food did look nasty, though. I will. They have equal food, that's for sure.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
no,
I mean,
did you see Kuzma? He had like plates of sushi.
Oh,
That he, yeah.
It's
Maybe
they're in
they
the
don't.
fancier of the Disney World hotels. So
They're in
yeah.
the Disneyland hotel.
Except someone else thought it was a Motel 6.
Oh, yeah.
The WNBA is at like Six Flags and Busch Gardens and
Taking Universal, you know what I mean?
Oh, and also it sounds like, or I just saw that some of the rides were going to be available to the NBA players too in Disney.
wow.
They just opened up Disney World today. So how is that a bubble if they're going to be able to ride after other people have ridden it?
Girl, I predict the NBA bubble getting infected like even before tip-off.
Right? I cannot oof.
I'm feeling nervous for this so-called bubble.
I think their day count yesterday in Florida was 10K, above the 9K record-breaking one that they recently broke.
Yeah.
Well, and then so everybody shipped their courts to Florida, right? And so they're for practice courts. And they're putting like 3 practice courts into like a ballroom at the hotel. And I'm like, how is that? I thought it was like a group of 10 or less and now you've got like 3 teams.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
They're just like lining them up like next to each other. Like it's an AAU tournament, where it's like court, court, and everybody's just going. Obviously they're not going to be practicing at the same time because you don't want to see, but still you're going to be in the same room and then it's got to get washed down and then like.
Well, and Adam Silver was like, we are fully prepared for the fact that we're going to get players that test positive. And I'm like, yeah, but then, so you're fully prepared. And then you're like, okay, peace, you got to leave. So what happens to that player? Are you prepared to like hold their hand through the entire like situation and talk to their family and go to the hospital with them or do this and that? It's like, okay, your idea of prepared, I think, is a little bit different than other people's idea of prepared, as well as like, who wants to get a swab up their nose 3 times a day? It's just, I don't know. It is what it is. They're going to do what they're going to do. We'll see.
It's better working circumstances than a lot of people in this country, though. So, you know what I mean? Like, they don't get the free test. They don't get to have people walking in, checking their temps or forcing.
$1 million.
My friend works for, and I'm going to say it because I don't give a fuck. She works for Home Depot in some hobunk city over here. And her boss got mad at her for telling a customer to put a mask on, even though the sign outside said, put a mask on.
Oh, my God. No. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. So many people without masks are just unacceptable.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
It is.
It's absolutely ludicrous. Well, and then when you got the idiot in charge going into Florida, full like butt face out.
Gross.
No
mask. He needs a mask just for us because I don't want to see his fucking face.
Please
Nothing's
wear
gonna
it.
make him look better, but at least we don't have to look at half his face.
God, that would be so good. But yeah, so that's part of why we're living in the hellscape that we have, as we all know.
The worst country.
Let's see what else. Karen, you wanted to talk about Steve Ballmer and all his.
Yeah, I just want to, I want to just let's highlight people, leadership that's actually doing shit, right? Like good shit. And real quick, I just read a LA Times piece. You know, they had interviewed Doc Rivers, and he was like, Steve Ballmer's one of the owners of the Clippers. When he first met him, you know, he was like, "What do you do?" He's all, "I just give away money." But they give away money. Him and his wife, they have a nonprofit organization. They've always been well documented to help out issues that you know, organizations that address racism. You know, when he learned that a lot of kids growing up just didn't have like privilege to that, you know, they started doing that. 300 million alone in the last 3 years for 70 nonprofits working in communities of color from Detroit, where he lives, Seattle, and LA, of course, because they're in the clip. So, you know, hate to kind of rush through this, but like, you know, that's the stuff, that's the kind of people and leaders that we need to have and we need to highlight, and especially to be owning a team in the WNBA or NBA. So
I agree with you. And to think about it, that replaced Dawn Sterling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's
just think, when you clean house, you get something that's even not just enriches the team and the culture of the team, but the community, right? So let's just listen up, WNBA, to what happens when you kick out a racist and you bring someone who is aligned with the culture.
Yep.
I love it. Let's see what else. Okay, so this next topic, the Woj Bomb. I laughed for 10 minutes when I saw that Woj responded via
his F-bomb
saying "fuck you," like just straight up to this.
I love it.
Classic journalism. Efficient.
Oh my. Okay, so there's so many layers to this, right? Because I actually come from the world of when Yahoo had Woj on its, you know, as one of its analysts, you know, and I'd been in rooms when discussing with Woj, like a lot of the programs that we're doing and stuff, and he is a very put together, organized. He knows his brand and he knows what he wants, and he's been working on that. You know, I can't speak to like there have been rumors that he has a lot of like you know, blackmail on a lot of these people that he gets information from. But you know what? Lean into it. Lean in to that kind of shit. Who cares? Like what, you know? But so he's always been really buttoned up. So when I saw that he did that, I was like, whoa, was he on Xan? Was he like fucking Molly?
Maybe he was just like, fuck you, and then accidentally press send. I don't know.
I would have loved if he put "fuck you" per sources.
But it's like Kyndall says, you know, sometimes you want to respond, so she drafts it but doesn't send it. That could have been the case.
I mean,
and he was like, "Oh shit."
Oh, it was so good. And he was responding. It was in response to a Missouri senator who was asking the NBA about like Hong Kong support and BLM social statements on New Jersey. I think it was, what was it? Senator Hawley.
Yeah, from Missouri.
Name.
Yeah, Jake, maybe. I don't know.
You know, and he was basically like, oh, NBA, you know, basically being a racist. And so Woj responded with "fuck you." And he went, and then Woj apologized, and Eastman put a statement out. I'd have been like, fuck. I'd be like, I'm Woj. I don't need to apologize.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Lean into it. And
if you want to fire me, I'll go somewhere else. What you want?
I know. Oh, you know, and it's funny how like there's like you see what happened to Jameel Hill.
Oh yeah,
and you see what happened to Woj, right? And that also, I mean, it's the truth. It's what you see happen. She's like ousted, and he's like, "Oh, you know what? Here's a statement. He apologized. Move on with your life." So there is a total double standard that you see that existed. I mean, I didn't have to make that context for anybody. Everybody knows that existed, but it was just really funny to see that happen because, like I said, this is someone who, as you know, in the dealings that I had from working at Yahoo in the marketing department and being in those rooms, definitely not anyone you would think would have a slip. And on top of it, it's like from his iPhone, I think. I think he like sent it via his iPhone.
Even better.
Right?
So a guy I work with at Yahoo who works with the editorial, he responded to Woj's email and he says, "Oh man, this just takes me back to the days when I would email him and be like, 'Are you good with the deadline?' And I'd get this kind of response back from him."
Yeah, it's like I said, his background, whatever, is like only certain people. He's private, because he really was about his brand. So seeing this come out in the light, I don't know, kind of humanized him a little bit, and made him less of a bot, an NBA bot.
Right. But everyone, his coworkers, folks are like, "Yay, Woj, yes. We got your back, fully support, no need to apologize."
Well, on top of it, these are the types of people that need to be saying this kind of stuff.
Yes,
and it's
exactly.
just like, you keep seeing the same people put out their necks and put out their careers out on the line so that they could do what's right.
Yes.
It's not about,
decorum.
Yeah, it's not about like nuances. It is what is right.
And that's what I hate. I hate how people are like, "Oh, this asshole who's being racist said it so nicely and eloquently," and then you just go and say, "Fuck you, you're so angry." And it's like, no, hello, let's go beyond the use of words or tone, dumb shits.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this will open him up to be more, he's someone that needs to be out there doing these types of things, because it just is what it is.
He doesn't need to apologize if it's what he actually thinks.
Oh,
because that's when the apologies just seem hollow, because know that they're apologizing just because people are telling them to apologize.
Right.
Yeah. We know that the initial statement was what you actually meant. Just stick by it. That makes you stronger, not weaker. Like, and I'm pretty sure that's what, the difference between his situation and Jamel Hill is Jamel was like, "Nah, I said what I said."
Right.
Like, that's what I said. That's what I meant. I'm not backing down from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or his apology could have been like, "Yeah, sorry for using fuck you. That was rude. However,
I stand by the statement."
Right. And then write your whole op-ed article piece about it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're just in a day and age where like people say something and then they backlash. It's like, "Oh, I have to apologize." Like Drew Brees. Drew Brees, sorry, your apology means nothing because we know that that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Just, I would respect you more if you were like, "No, this is exactly what I meant to say and I stand by it."
Yep.
Or if it's just like, I'm just not an educated enough person about the things that I say, and I'm either going to work to change that or I'm not, but I'm your quarterback.
That's what I said.
It's just like, that's fine too. Yeah. We are going to find the growth in the mistakes and being able to say, "You know what? I did not understand that, but I want to learn." And I think that that's what we can do now. And I think Woj doesn't need to apologize, but he did. And that's too bad. But it was still fucking funny.
It was still really funny.
Woj F-bomb. I love it.
You,
I love
first
it.
sources.
Fuck you, first source.
That's all we had for sports this time around. These are the two hot ones coming in now. I know we had women's soccer last episode, but WNBA and NBA are coming in hot at the end of this month. So I think with that, we'll take a quick break and we'll come with our final segment, Hoops Off. So we will be right back. And we are back. So we're back for our final segment, Hoops Off, which is our new segment where we each get 1 minute to pick a topic that we're going to go off about. Take our hoops off, no holds barred. Karen is going to be the first to go. Karen, I'm going to start the stopwatch. Sorry, my phone here. So we're going to start the stopwatch. Karen, you are 3, 2, 1, hoops off.
This is my hoops off letter from an OG Karen to these new Karens on the scene, okay? First off, ladies, okay, let's be real here. Quit being a little snitch, because y'all little bitches. And let's really think about this. Keep your nose out of people's business. If it's not harming someone, if someone's not getting killed, why are you gonna be like, you shouldn't barbecue there? Should you really be chalking up Black Lives Matter? Do you live here? What do you mean put my dog on a leash when there's signs that say dogs on a leash? Because at the end of the day, bitch, your small action could lead to so much more. But let's be real about some of the famous Karens lately. You did beyond small action. You changed your tone. You called police. You made it seem like you were such in danger that your life was at stake. And guess what? Who's going to come rushing? Your white knight to come and do anything for you. So fuck you.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
1 minute, Karen to
man.
Karen. Damn, she actually took her
Karen
hoops
to
off.
Karen.
Karen to Karen. Oh, it's facts.
Oh
It
my
is
God.
facts.
All facts, no printer.
Exactly. And you know what? That one Karen with the bird watcher, she's being held
Yeah.
up on charges.
Good.
For real.
I mean, her tone, like she switched it so quick, not a change in her face, just her tone. She sounded like she was so in danger. And I'm like, this reminded me of Emmett Till. I was like, this is so fucking problematic.
It was terrible. So yeah, I agree with you. Karen on Karen.
With you.
There you go.
Karen on Karen crime, okay?
Right? I love it. Love to see it. Kyndall, do you want to go next?
Okay, I'll go next.
Okay.
I feel like mine's gonna be kind of short. So
Well,
you guys.
1 minute is short when you
1 minute is short. When you start going, okay. So hoops off. Here we go. Kyndall, 3, 2, 1. Hoops off.
Okay, so recently the Supreme Court decided that your employer did not have to supply you with birth control for religious reasons.
Fuck that.
So my thing is, why is fucking Viagra still allowed on your insurance, but we can't get birth control, which does a hell of a lot more than just stops us from having babies? We need it for cramps. We need it for all kinds of health reasons. And these dumbass white men who are on the Supreme Court and have been voted in keep telling us what we can and cannot do with our bodies, while their little limp dicks gets to take a little pill and help them go out with their little side pieces while their wives are at home cooking them dinner because they live in the fucking 1950s. Sorry, that doesn't fucking fly with me. First of all,
okay, time's up. Absolutely, that was a good one.
Fuck the blue pill.
Also, when you see who was like for it, it was like a group of nuns at a microphone, like a podium, and I'm like,
I cannot fucking religion.
Get your freaking religion out of my body, out of my politics, out of everything. There is a thing called separation of church and state.
Yep.
And we are getting further away from that than ever before. You can't tell me what I can do with my body unless I can tell you what you can do with yours.
That's right.
And you notice that same group of people who want to oppose birth control are like, oh, don't tell me what to do with my body and put a mask on my face.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
insane. All right, who's gonna time me? Cause I have a hoops off.
Oh, hold on.
Let me go.
Hold on, I gotta get my. Are you doing it, Karen? Okay.
I'm gonna go. Hoops off, guys.
Are you gonna actually take?
Okay, you ready?
No.
Oh. You ready?
Yes,
Lisa?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
3, 2.
So my hoops off goes to Goya. Okay. And not just like Goya, like the president of Goya who came and like smooched Donald Trump's butt with like, we are blessed to have you as a president and all this other bullshit. And then people try to tell me, well, you know what? He really plays all sides because sometimes he's like really supportive of like Obama, but then like he's really absurd. He's like, no. At this point in time, you cannot be support of that idiot in charge because he has made policies that have affected the Hispanic, Latinx, whatever you want to call us at this point, community in such ways where we have borders with children and families separated, people in cages, threatening the dreamers, so much bullshit. He called us murderers and rapists. So no, you cannot go, Mr. Goya, to the White House and tell somebody that they are blessed to be running this country. And you know what? To Ted Cruz, who would fucking be, up and like talking and supporting Goya Beans more than his wife. Well, fuck you too. Because you know what? No one needs to eat Goya. Goya away. Thank you. Bye.
Done.
Hoops off. Hoops off.
Hoops
Dude.
off.
Like this, Goa away.
That's right. That was a hashtag, Goya away, because you know what? The Hispanic community is pretty clever too. So
yeah.
Damn
and
clever.
You know what? For the party that's all free market, capitalism, blah, 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 who want to go out and say like, oh, well, he's allowed to say whatever he wants. Well, we're allowed to buy whatever the fuck we want. And
yes,
you know what?
ma'am.
Yeah.
We don't want to buy his beans anymore. And
no.
His spices, whatever.
God. And lest we forget what kind of fits they were having on the MAGA side when they didn't put Christmassy cups in Starbucks, or when they burned Nike for the kneeling, or when they were smashing Keurig coffee cup with coffee mugs.
Oh my God,
so stupid. Please do not come at me with the fact that we have a group of people that aren't going to eat those fucking beans anyways. Who cares? Just you know what? Hypocritical
Cento
garbage.
beans. Okay, let's
whatever. We have the power of free speech as much as that fool has to go and like kiss Trump's ass. And if that's what he wants to do, then guess what? We can buy our beans somewhere else.
Yeah, and then he can go get his buyout or his like whatever PPP loan bullshit.
Please, Goya away. Thank you. So that's it.
Man. Damn, I love when we ended in this note. I know.
I feel so like it's so good. It's like a workout.
It's sweaty and petty.
Sweaty and petty all the way. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe and review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can follow and DM us on our social handles, Twitter, Instagram, at The Hoops Talking. We also have our YouTube channel, The Hoops Talk Podcast, where you can see our faces and see our background.
Reactions.
In the bubble there, in the Motel 6. We are also at The Hoops Talking Podcast on TikTok. And yeah, we have new merch up. Go check us out at Redbubble. We have all the links in the bio. And don't forget, also the Good News Radio is having a fundraiser, and we have a link to that in the bio as well. So check that out. So that's it, y'all. It's a hot summer day. Ready to go and like fan myself. And yeah, Karen, how do we want to keep it?
Sweaty and petty.
Ow.